I don't know, a 1-year-old.
Yeah.
1-year-old wearing the onesie, what would you put with it? So you hold the
I'll
onesie.
hold this one. Yeah.
So if the room was freezing, you could go. So when I say freezing, I kind of mean like 16 or below.
Yeah.
Even though that we're not meant to talk about rooms that are 16 and below, we do have to be realistic. But,
Yeah.
you know, kind of 14, 15 is actually really common in New Zealand.
It is.
The key reason to aim for 16 and over is that your child breathing in cold air dramatically increases your risk of respiratory illness, and we know New Zealand has terrible rates of respiratory illness with kids.
Yeah.
So you do have to weigh that up. You can layer up their bodies, but if it's the cold air they're breathing in, that's what it causes inflammation, and then viruses and things get into the inflamed lining of your lungs and there. It was a really interesting study that was all over the media a couple of weeks ago about that. But anyway, so cold room, you could do that. So this is, when we first got the fleece, we were like, oh my God, that would be so hot. You couldn't do that. But then when we thought about it logically, the fleece onesie is really equivalent to if you were doing two light layers.
Yeah.
Well, these are actually midweight because our merino's thicker than average. So this is 220, this is 200. You know, I don't know if you'd use two onesies or if you'd use pants and
A vest or something.
an extra layer.
Yeah.
So the fleece is equivalent at 360 grams to a couple of other layers.
Yeah.
So if you would normally wear at least 2 layers of merino, or a merino bodysuit and then a thick cotton outfit and a jumper or something. This is just, think about this is a very thick onesie.
Yeah.
So at least I would say equivalent to 2 lighter layers.
Yeah.
So if you're already doing that and you just want to make it more simple, then this would work.
Yeah.
And also, I was just going to say there's questions around the duvet suit or duvet sleeping bag from Wool Babe.
Here's one I prepared earlier from our other brand.
So that would
So
be
these
that.
2 winter bags are equivalent.
Yeah.
So we'll just put that out there. Because we've made this so much warmer this year.
Yeah.
These are equivalent in warmth. So you could use either of those in a cold room instead of all of these other things. Not as well as.
Yeah.
If you were going to use a merino bodysuit and this, I'd recommend that if you live in Antarctica, you know, in an igloo. Just jokes, but this is probably with a winter weight bag. So the same if you have like our 3.5 ton rainbow bags, which are very cozy.
Yeah, very cozy.
This with that would give you merino against the skin, but again, that is a very toasty combination.
Yeah.
So when we're talking about these very toasty combinations, our advice would be don't even look at something like that combination until your child is 6, 8, 12 months old. It's not a combination for little babies because it's just too hot. You need to be able to regulate and you need to be able to monitor their temperature and take off layers more easily than you make your life difficult if you put them in the thickest suit in the thickest bag. Then you're going to, if they're too warm, what are you going to do? Like strip them naked in the freezing cold room and then start from scratch. So whereas for a little one, I'd go
lighter layers.
I'd go bodies. Oh no, that's a nightie. I'd go like I'd go for a smaller baby. I'd go. I'm looking for where the bodysuits are. Well, there's all sorts of new stuff. I'd go like bodysuit and either a zip suit or a gown, and then I'd go the bag. So then if it's too hot, you just are taking off this rather than the whole lot. Or the if you're using bedding, the blanket and these. Or if you're swaddling, the swaddle. So something like a miracle blanket or wrapped in a merino with 2 light merinos. Oops, I've destroyed your beautiful display. Sorry about that. So then if you're not in such a hot room, if you're in probably more like, I don't know, I'm not very good with the actual temperatures. I would say not a freezing cold room. So somewhere around that 18. And maybe we often get this question about what's the bag that you could use all year round. Well, if you already have a 3 seasons Wool Babe and you're really happy with it, but you need to boost up how warm it is, then that actually we think is a really good combination. That turns it into a winter weight combination, and it utilises the bag. Of course, please buy another bag, keep us in business. But you know, if you've already got a 3 seasons Wool Babe, you could just add that rather than buy a winter bag.
Exactly.
And pop some socks on if
Yeah.
you need to, if we've got
Yeah.
really cold.
Exactly. And if it's still not warm enough, add a bodysuit. So then,
Yeah.
you know, that would be, and this is kind of, you know, there's a lot of talk about this kind of like measuring and, you know, should you be measuring the exact temperature of your child, and we get all these questions from people wanting the exact, you know,
Yeah.
exact garments,
Yeah.
like on your clothing guide, what weight of, you know, is it cotton, is it merino, what about da, 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 da.
Yeah.
You know, really we want you to just kind of use your judgment and use your common sense, look at your babies, measure, you know, assess if they're too warm or too cold.
Yeah. And that is the thing as well about the merino, right? Like
Yeah.
it's breathable and yeah, you know, it's not gonna get clammy and stuffy.
No,
you know,
it
so
stays
it's just-
comfy, and if you kind of go in at, you know, at 10 o'clock at night or whatever and they're too hot, then take a layer off.
Yeah.
If they're cold, put another layer on, or
Yeah.
swap your bag for a warmer one. Is often easier than changing the clothes.
Yes.
But if you were in a cooler room, you've got this bag, you don't want to buy another bag, you could add that suit, and then if it's still not warm enough, put a bodysuit.
Yeah.
And this is, we'll come to this new.
Yeah.
Keep showing.
I'm getting questions on it.
What are we
Going to show
saying?
you
What are we
soon.
saying?
And that, we'll come to that soon.
We'll come to that soon. So does that kind of cover
I
the
think
sort
that's
of?
good.
Yeah.
I think it gives us an idea. It talks about how the new double layer is kind of similar to the wool-weight duvet weight.
Yeah.
And then the different kind of ideas. I think, like as you say, you just gotta
You should mummy judgment,
Yeah.
daddy judgment.
layer
You know, and,
underneath.
and you know, a little baby will start letting you know, right? Like it's that pre-SIDS, you know, that's when
Yeah.
we've got to be extra vigilant. But
Yeah.
once they get older, they'll
Say,
Oh,
I'm too
no,
hot, I'm
yeah.
too cold, they'll take
Yeah.
their stuff off. And I think if you have a look, just pull that onesie back out again. So like this is our zip suit, which we get so much love for because it's specially knitted, just lusciously soft. We all just go, oh. We were talking yesterday about should we just ditch this and just make stripes in this new collection, but we were all like, oh,
That's so
no,
nice.
soft. So this is 220 grams of merino, and this is 360. So if you're
Yeah.
already familiar with this garment, which we've made for years now in various stripes, and last year we've done patterns and
Yeah.
things, but the stripe is the one that you mostly love, so
Yeah.
that we just dropped all the patterns.
Yeah.
This is equivalent to about 1.5 of these, or if you buy your merino somewhere else, that makes it thinner and cheaper. Like a cheap merino is often 160
Yeah.
or 180 grams, so this is double
Yeah.
what cheap merino is.
Yeah.
So I think that's, just think about it as like a 1.5 to 2
Yeah.
equivalent of that. So when you're looking at any clothing guides, when it says 2 layers, you're already there
Yeah.
with 2 layers with
Yeah.
that one.
And the microns as well. Everything's 19.5 microns, which is an extra fine micron. Whereas you know department stores or high street chains, they'll use
21
yeah,
or something.
and so then that's less fine. So there's less area to trap air. Less area to trap air.
Like
so,
that.
Yeah. So it'll be warmer.
Yarns with Amanda. I'm
Yeah,
saying.
Amanda.
Yarns with Amanda.